Hey everyone, so I'm going to do 2 tiaras this week because I haven't done this in a while, and this is actually last week's tiara. Look at that beautiful blue peacock sparkle on that. And we're kind of getting into this idea of a lot of layers on these. And then of course this week's tiara is this beautiful bronzy copper hints in there. It's a lot of gold, like a lot of antique gold colors in here. And so again, this is all about layering these couple of weeks. So let's start with last week's tiara, which I was thinking was very much like a peacock. And what I did was I layered on 4 pieces for the front of this. So there is a piece right here, and then this piece on back, and this is the one that I started with. I really thought that this was a unique, kind of felt like a peacock to me. And so with this kind of feather also kind of coming out, I thought the two of them layered together felt very overall a peacock. But that wasn't enough for me. It didn't feel like it was finished. So I layered a small piece of filigree that's just behind there. You can't see except the tip. And then this lovely big ornate piece, which you're missing a lot of. You can see the back, it's right there. And it's wired on too. So we wired this piece onto the peacock piece, and that piece was wired onto the base. And then this little one was glued on, and then the final piece was also wired in these 2 corners. And I had a really big struggle with how to give this side detail. And I had this pendant that was kind of like a drop piece for a necklace, as you can see here. And it had the little pieces right here and right here to attach it, so it would have held down like this. But what I did is I broke it, and I did it on accident because I thought maybe the little piece at the top that had a place for the jewel would be really cool. But so when I was trying to bend it, it broke. And it broke on one side, and I thought, oh wait, you know what? I'm gonna have to, if I still want to use this piece, I'm going to have to break the other side too. So there was a little drop, or like upside down drop here that went, that I broke out, and I kept it just in case I wanted to use it on something else. But then I needed a way to attach these, so I wired the bottoms, but there was nothing to wire here. I thought about cutting holes into it and then wiring it that way, but this is now attached with a very strong 5-minute epoxy. So I attached it on the sides. First I attached it with E6000, and I was like, there's no way that's gonna hold. So I just epoxied it on the sides, and this is very sturdy now. So that is the back of the tiara. You can see the wiring down here, and then of course the glue right here. And I reinforced that about 2 or 3 times just to make sure it's strong. And then of course this stone was so peacock to me, I had to find some matching Swarovskis that went with it. And so I attached those so that you get this kind of triangular shape. But again, it's just this round piece that's attached with this wired onto the front. And then this small piece right here, this little small triangle was glued onto the back. And then this big piece right here that goes all was actually attached, you can see, in the back, and then just wired on right there. And then finally, this piece right here, these 2 are from the same piece, and I just glued them on and wired them at the bottom. And that is the peacock tiara. And now this week's, it had the same kind of wiring effect, or layering effect, excuse me. So I actually used this for the centerpiece. It's got a little piece of fuzz. I got this on the centerpiece, and then I put a piece behind it so that I could actually attach this lovely Labradorite at the top. So this is just kind of wired on to another back piece, and it's another piece of filigree. I don't think you can see it as well, but here it is. It's kind of a flower shape on the back. And you can see where they're wired on right there. And then that was our focal point. My kids are just stomping around upstairs. And then I wired on these triangular pieces that this one gets kind of lost, and these leaves, so that we get this kind of natural effect. And then this piece is also then glued and wired so that they've got more sturdy. So got a piece of fuzz here. Once that was done and everything was wired, I attached these little pieces down here, and they're glued to cover the wiring, and then attached some crystals on the bottom. And then there's another small tiny Labradorite in the middle right there. And then finally, I thought it needed a little bit more of a point. This butterfly is kind of off center, and it's driving me crazy because of course I like that straightness. And so I took one of these triangular pieces, which is, let's see if I've got one right here. Oh yeah. Let's see if I can grab it. These triangular pieces like this, and it's just glued back here like that, and then wired for strength. So there you go. You see the back, you've got that triangular piece up on the top, wired, put to the flower. These are the two triangle pieces that come up the sides, and they're wired onto the base. And then the leaves on the front are also wired on right here. You see these circles? That's the end of those leaves. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I always have a problem with working with those pieces because they are only one directional. You can't have another one that's the other side. So I actually also used a epoxy to keep them in place because they move around a little bit. So these ones are obviously different than these, but it's okay because it's a natural look to the tiara. So doesn't take away from the effect. And then finally, these are actually glued and then wired in place. And then finally we put this piece on the top. And that is this week's tiara.